Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot has until Friday to clarify a policy in which she only granted interviews to journalists of color. Daily Caller reporter Thomas Catanacci filed a lawsuit against the Democratic mayor for this. He joins me now to react. Thomas, great to see you as always. There seems to be some confusion about this no white reporters policy. How does Lightfoot ultimately answer this question to the court?
Well, and thank you for having me, Todd. So I think what we saw on Monday, which was the first hearing in this case, was a really encouraging sign. Essentially, the judge ordered the mayor and the city to state on the record and present to the court its policy, to clarify its policy. And what that means is essentially the city will have to say, yes, for one day, we did discriminate based on race. And then from that point forward, we'll see what they give the court tomorrow. But from that point forward, then the trial can proceed, and we can argue that when I requested an interview on that day that they said that they were discriminating, I was, in fact, discriminated against.
Yeah, let's take a step back, Thomas. While I love the movie Hall Pass, I don't recall from law school any hall passes to violate the Constitution for an anniversary, for a birthday, because it's Thursday. So how does she justify even that one day to the court on First Amendment grounds?
Well, exactly. And I'm not sure. I'm in the same boat as you, except I never went to law school. And so we'll see. As we all know, and anyone can see, from just looking at this case, you can't discriminate for just one day, even if you have the right intention, even if you say that this is for equity or, for inclusion. You can't do it. And you cannot say that, for this one day, because I have good intentions, all of these people of this race will have their First Amendment rights stripped away.
Was this something that was happening before the mayor publicly pronounced that she was going to do this? In other words, were you prevented from getting things over the course of her tenure thus far because you're white?
I've never had this sort of experience, with the mayor or, for that matter, with any other public official. It's just my job as a reporter to constantly reach out to officials, to reach out to cities and city governments, to the federal government. Now, of course, I've been denied an interview, but that's because, a official doesn't want to speak or they decline an interview. But it's never been because of race. I think this is something that I think a lot of journalists, this is the first time they're seeing anything even close, even remotely close to this.
With all that in mind, Thomas, in the end, do you get your interview?
We'll have to wait and see. It's, the ball is in the city's court right now. They have to tell the court what their policy is. They have to clarify if this policy is still in existence or if, as they've been backtracking and saying, it was just for one day. But, hey, who knows? Maybe I'll get my interview and we can have a really great conversation on, coronavirus and the city's response and how the city is encouraging people to return to local businesses and patronize those local businesses.
Or you can just tell her it's your birthday, and that should counterbalance the anniversary thing. All joking aside, let's bring in Judicial Watch's President Tom Fitton. Tom Fitton, of course, bringing this lawsuit, his organization, I should say, on behalf of Thomas Catanacci. Tom, to mix it up here. How do they justify this? I mean, what can she possibly say to the court on Friday?
Well, that's the big question. And the other question is it going to be under oath? They seem to think they can get a day pass for the mayor for racial discrimination, one time only, and they don't have to worry about it. As we pointed out, as our lawyers pointed out, there was no evidence about what's happening. We want an immediate end to it. And they're saying, trust us. And they said they'd be willing to file a declaration, which means they're going to have to go under oath. So we'll see what happens. This is a basic lawsuit about the First Amendment, about civil rights, and about a mayor standing in the City Hall door and telling some reporters they can get in on the basis of race. And as Thomas implied, the idea that we're even talking about this in this day and age shows you how far we've fallen because of the left's assault on the rule of law and the left's embrace of racial discrimination, supposedly to combat racial discrimination.
Imagine the pushback from all media if this happened 10 years ago, but not in the day and age we live now. We reached out to Mayor Lightfoot's office for a statement. Have not yet heard back. Tom and Thomas, we appreciate it. As always, check back in next week once we have an answer, guys. We want to hear it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.